talk about. It's pretty much cut and dry. I'm doing this to also upload to YouTube, and you're gonna hear me moving around. I'm getting ready to jump in my car, but I wanted to talk about how common. I was talking to Andromeda Flame. I'm gonna see if I can share the live if I can. But starseeds and addiction is probably one of the most common issues that we have as a collective, because of our experiences in other planets and how freer we were in a sense of not being burdened by the current types of infrastructures that have us really whacked down in our brains. We really are not built to deal with the kind of infrastructures that has been forced upon us for maybe, I don't know, depending, since, I would say since Lemuria first was made and then collapsed under the ruling fists of the greedy factions of the Atlanteans. Let's put it that way. How's that? I think that's a simple way to put it. And then little by little, constructions of infrastructures that we now live upon, but it was subtle. There was a caste system that began with the Atlanteans, not in the golden age, but at the midpoint is what I'm being told to tell you. And then as the factions got greedier and arrogant and greedier for power, certainly not for resources, certainly not for goals, certainly not for what we would call greed, which is, when we have people walking around with $177 billion. Did you wrap your head around that one? Okay. And doesn't think it's a good idea to maybe, I don't know, give 10 billion out of 177 billion, 10 billion to stop world hunger. I mean, you saw what they did in 3 weeks with the lockdowns, right? They were very able to do that. So going back to addiction and starseeds, one of the aspects of a starseed is addiction. Now, addiction comes in various forms. So let's not just think about the classic concept of alcoholism and drug abuse. Those are just the basic things that we face. When we think of addiction, we think of that. But addiction comes with bulimia. When you're obsessed with food, to eat it or not to eat it, to control or to not control through bulimia, anorexia. I mean, I remember studying bulimia because bulimia was big when I was growing up as a kid. My mother was bulimic. A lot of people I knew were bulimic, to the point where people were so obsessed, especially women, were so obsessed with being slim to look a certain way, because again, the obsession of what we look like to other people, the obsession of being addicted to being accepted in society, right? Where when I lived in Hong Kong, I went to school there. I was 14, and I knew of 3 girls that were trying to lose weight, all 14, and there was a heroin shack. I kid you not, there was a little heroin shack down from our school, and people, these young girls and other people that I don't know of were going down there to take heroin because they were successfully losing weight. Ha ha, right? And of course, boom, addiction. And to the point where the fashion world had the audacity to call it heroin chic. The audacity, that was in the 70s, 80s. So addiction it runs the gamut of overspending, of hoarding, and not being in balance. Now, Buddha talked about the middle way. Remember, if you've ever studied a little bit of Buddha, you know that Buddha, when he left the palace as the Prince Siddhartha, he starved himself. And there you'll see statues of him literally just skull and bones, right? And then he realized that this was not the good way. And he had gone from one gamut to the other until he came up with the middle path, which is a balance. And starseeds have a struggle with that. Every starseed I know is either smoking pot to just round out the edges, or does something else to make it worthwhile. Some addictions would be shopping and spending and gambling and sexting, having sex indiscriminately. Obsession with sexuality, obsession with, say, OnlyFans. That's an addiction. There are men out there and women who have an addiction with OnlyFans systems where, they're just throwing money at a screen. Let's be honest, it's a screen, okay? Yeah, we know it's a real person on the other side of the screen, but the person on the other side of the screen doesn't give a shit about them. Andrew Tate actually talks about how he would have his girls, he would type out the response. He was the one responding to some of the comments that these guys were throwing at his girls. And he was typed because he understood the psychology of these lonely men. So addiction also can become ruminating. And I'm going to just go off a limb. I am certainly not a clinician, nor am I a psychologist, but I will say that sometimes some people, not everyone, is addicted to drama, is addicted to pain, is addicted to not coming out of depression. And I know that some people have a chemical imbalance. I'm not talking about those. Okay, that's not addiction. But addiction is when you're obsessed with something and you ruminate over it and you can't stop. And this is a problem for all of us. I have addictions as well. Don't think I'm walking on water, okay? And my addictions, aren't part of this particular life. But if you want to, I'll share it. I have an addiction with food. And that's really my main addiction, actually. I used to have a massive addiction with shopping. And so I'm still walking, trying to balance myself out, because at the end of the day, none of it is going to give me the stability and the peace that I seek. Food is not going to comfort. But again, when children are raised, they've done a good job, let's get you an ice cream. Yeah, that's not a good idea, because then the kid is wired to connect food as a reward, as opposed to an experience as an award. You did a great job, let's go hiking. That would be a better way to... So some people are addicted to sports, addicted to running. You'll actually hear people go, I'm actually forming an obsession, a passion with running. It makes me feel good. I hit that sweet spot where it just explodes. Nothing wrong with that. That is actually a healthy outlet to trying to just make sense of being incarnated on this planet in a level of density that is so intense that many souls do not wish to incarnate here. They are afraid to lose their consciousness, their levels of knowing that we have lost. So what's extraordinary, I'm going to keep saying that in my lives because it's important you hear that. What's extraordinary is that you and I, and many like us who have actually come here, did not succumb to the amnesia. Many of us came in remembering, many of us forgot, but then are now remembering. Whichever way your story goes, right? The point is you're remembering through the density of the 3D brain. You know what I mean? You're actually breaching and you're breaking through those veils and doing amazing work. But you must look at what you're addicted to or obsessed with. And again, lifting weights, running, all of that is a wonderful outlet for everyone. Meditation. There are some people that are completely obsessed with meditation. They find peace in their meditation, right? Addiction also is playing games. Computer games. And going to alternative worlds through the computer games. That's an addiction. That's an escapism. Anything that escapes you from today and the moment in this hour, you can actually probably look at it as an addiction. Does anybody have any comments, or does anybody want to rebut? I just want to know real quick. Does anybody have a rebuttal to that or an experience to that? More, okay. Thank you. So, okay. So anybody want to share? I'm talking to two people, so I don't feel, I love it. It's funny how anything that is not about twin flames, is not about the here and now, about how do I get my lover back, is always ignored. And yet it's funny because you see, when a twin flame has sex indiscriminately with other people, 9 times out of 10 they're dealing with addiction. I kid you not, or else they wouldn't be able to do it. Many of my clients who are twin flames, once they meet their twin, cannot have sex with other people. Okay, so then their question is, well, why is my twin able to indiscriminately have sex with other people? And I usually ask them, does your twin battle addiction, alcohol, drugs, whatever? And what is the answer? Yeah, they are. Okay, well, there you go. So they've softened their edges so that they don't have to actually be in reality, a reality of what is going on with their inner landscape. So, yeah, addiction plays a huge part in starseeds and twin flames. It's a big problem, and it's one of the issues that we have to deal with in when we are in separation. Girl, I just started listening. Guess what I just went through? I don't know. I don't know. Addiction, or at least letting go of the addiction. So again, this is a quick live. There's not much to hammer out. It's really cut and dry. If you're dealing with addiction, it's okay. No self-shaming is allowed here. Okay, you don't start self-shaming. You don't talk shit about yourself. You don't do that. What you do is look at what's going on, and you handle your business so you can move on. If you're a twin, okay, twin flame, twin ray, most likely your twin ray, honestly, if it's a ray, they're not dealing with addictions to that massive concern. Okay, they're not. I'm just gonna be blunt. But twin flames, definitely, that's a classic. As a matter of fact, in 2023, I can't tell you how many, first of all, suicides we had of twin flame, the feminine usually, saying my twin flame took himself out, or my twin flame overdosed. Addiction, my friends, is a problem. And so what's ironic with AA is that it has a spiritual component, right? In fact, the whole premise of AA is a spiritual component to actually move out of addiction. If any of you know that, you know that what I'm saying is true. Now, isn't that interesting? How you need to connect with God or Source or the one who created us all, the one of 1,000 names, right? We have to create, right? We connect. We have to connect to something greater than us. It's kind of like drowning in the middle of the ocean and a huge yacht comes in and throws you a buoy. Something greater than you is bringing you aid, right? And sometimes that's necessary. And there's no shame in that. This theory of bootstrap theory, pull up your bootstrap. You can do it, man, blah, blah, blah. That's massive bullshit. Massive toxic bullshit. We all need help. We all need support. We've all gone through massive depression, dark night of the soul, and other types of things that almost took us out, where we had ideations that still shake us to our very core.